from?
Started as an East Coast vibe, now I'm going worldwide. We got this bitch going crazy. I used to take the Mazda for a drive, now I'm on the 405 like it's fuck you, pain.
Hi, my name is Heather, aka Stoney Baloney, and this is the Stoney Baloney podcast. If you're expecting anything from this podcast, don't. But if there's one thing you will learn about me, is you never know what Stoney you're gonna get. This is the journey of one spicy, sarcastic entrepreneur who came out of her cannabis closet and has been blazing through life ever since. As a multi-passionate person who has lived from one coast to another, I know there is more to life than just a 9-to-5 grind. I hope to inspire others to try new things no matter how old you are, start doing things you love and turn them into your side hustles, and to simply stop giving a fuck how others want you to live your life. As I get older, I give less fucks about protecting people because my story is my story, and I wouldn't be who I am without my fucking story. So there's no better person that I would have to end season 1 of the Stoney Baloney podcast than my homie, my bromie, my gnomie, Andre Kuzma.
Oh, it's good to be here. I'm glad to finally be here. And I am flattered that you consider me finale worthy.
Moving forward on the podcast, I would like to bring in professionals per topic that I talk about. But season 1 was getting to know Stoney Baloney. And there's literally nobody that knows me better. Andre was my best man in my first wedding. He served me my divorce thing. He served me? What is it? Getting served?
Served you your divorce papers.
He served me my divorce papers.
By request of your wonderfully, lovely ex-husband.
And he also was the minister in my second and last wedding, hopefully. And he has watched me get into brawls with women and men.
Yes, multiple of both.
He has been there. The first time we met was on the school bus. There was a twat who was being mean to you. Was she not? What are you laughing for? She was.
Yeah, she thought she ran the show.
She didn't. I obviously do.
And still to this day.
And I stuck up for you. I didn't even know you. And what, did she not want to let you? I'm going to take one more puff of this. So why don't you finish the story? I let you on the back of the bus. She wouldn't let you in the back of the bus, right?
Yeah, well, I moved to the other part of the district in the middle of the school year because my mother and stepfather went through a divorce. It was like mid-February, and I got on the bus and I was explained that there's a seating chart and a pecking order, so to speak, and the closest I could get to the back was the 4th row. But that didn't last very long, did it?
Andre sat right in the back with me.
That's right.
Which is funny because Andre and I are black sheeps in our families. And
so to speak.
I feel like that kind of works for me. Like Kenny's, I feel like the black sheep in a way. It's just like my group of people. We're the black sheep people because we understand shit. We weren't handed shit. We weren't the favorites. So that's why you and I feel like have always gotten together. And by the way, if anyone's watching this audio, I just puffed this inhaler, which I got yesterday, which is a full circle moment because Andre and I had this inside joke in high school about sports asthma because I couldn't run or anything without having to hunch over and catch my fucking breath. And surprise, 22 weeks later, I've been on a little hiatus from the podcast. I am with child. Thought I was one and done. Here we are. And
Congratulations on that, by the way.
Well, thank you, Andre.
I don't know if it's a new spray tan, but you kind of are glowing today.
That's weird.
Just saying.
Dude, I don't even have a spray tan on right now.
Then you must be glowing.
Because I've been a bad girl and I've been laying out in the sun. But I can't smoke weed. I can smoke weed if I wanted to. However, I was smoking until about 10 weeks pregnant, but not like smoking, ripping bongs. I would like take a puff here and there because I wasn't feeling good. This has been a very rough pregnancy for me. Even today is rough. I can't fucking breathe. But I took a puff before shade. I needed some energy. I was nauseous. It was a great puff. I had felt good. I hadn't felt good in days. After, I was like, I'm just going to take another puff, you know? Well, I took too much of a puff. I was in the park. I was freaking out. I am very pro-choice. No one should tell a woman what they should do with their fucking bodies.
Amen to that.
However, even though I personally would not get one unless, you know, that maybe if there's a circumstance that I can't control, whatever. But me with my husband, I'm not getting one. But that day after that puff, I was like, there's an alien in my body. I need to get it out. I started freaking out. And then I decided that maybe cannabis isn't for me in pregnancy.
Yeah.
I got scared.
No, wait. What's the alien? The baby or the puff?
The baby.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's your baby. It can't just be considered a normal human. It is definitely some other world.
Well, I just freaked out that there was something growing inside my body. Plus, I got kind of scared. Like, we just got the deli, and we have a podcast about smoking weed. I'm not going to smoke weed for fucking 9 months. But it's kind of ironic because I did a photography shoot for somebody who was 36 weeks pregnant, and she said, I don't want you to judge me, but do you mind if we get some pictures of me smoking? And I'm like, oh.
She went to the right person, didn't she?
Is this not a full circle? But she didn't know me. A friend hooked us up. She didn't follow me on Facebook, like nothing. Her photographer...
She caught the vibes.
She caught the vibes.
The shade vibes, the A-tray vibes, the Stoney vibes. It's all about the vibes.
Her pictures were sick. We went to a old house that's broken down, that looks haunted, that I'm sure is haunted. And the pictures came out really fucking sick. But yes, it's been a rough 22 weeks. I am happy we are here. I am going to be a boy mom.
Oh, yeah.
Number 2 is Gabe.
Everybody thought it was a girl, myself
Everybody.
included. People
I
were
was
calling
like,
it out, the things you were feeling, the way your belly was starting to grow. Expert moms across the world all said, oh, honey, that's a girl, that's a girl. And you knew. You felt it the whole time, and you were right.
I did have like a little bit of a maybe just because how different this pregnancy was. I feel like the first kid tricks you. Like that, even though I had the choleostasis, which I'll talk about at some point, but...
Had?
What?
As in don't have anymore?
I don't know if I have it yet. It usually doesn't show up till the end of your pregnancy.
Oh.
I guess we'll talk about it now. So my first pregnancy, I had something called ICP. It's not Insane Clown Posse, but it's something that it's basically poisonous to your baby in the 3rd trimester. Like the 3rd trimester is a scary time. The 2 major outcomes of this are 1, you're at high risk of having a stillborn, or 2, you are at high risk of going into preterm labor. So with Harrison, they don't want you to go past 37 weeks if your levels are like super high. There's a cough. Scott told us about a cough button. Andre used the cough button.
And it works.
So
it's a nice place here.
It is nice.
I'm very out of my element. It's weird sitting across this desk looking at you like
You're
this.
You're doing good. Some people get here and they like freeze up and they don't talk.
Well, it's still you and me. I'm looking at you, but yeah. I feel like we're about to like do an audition for a debate team or something.
I mean, I feel like we should have our own podcast, to be honest with you.
I don't know if I can pump out that much content like you, but let's start with this one and go from there.
Okay. Well, so...
What will we call it? The Bipod?
The Bipod. Well, I'm not high, so I can get back on track. Back on track. Canadians coming out. Go Leafs go, motherfuckers, this year. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Les Bleus.
So,
37 weeks, they usually don't want you to go past unless your bile acids are like super high. Then they might have you go a little bit sooner. So I was scheduled to be induced with Harry at 36 plus 5. My water broke the day before, or like 5 hours before we were supposed to go to the hospital. I got really lucky. I was scared to be induced.
Harry was 4 weeks early?
Yeah.
Naturally.
This fucker didn't even come visit me in the hospital. I was very upset about that.
Yes, because I was working a job that I was way too dedicated to for no reason at all.
To be fair, I feel like if you don't have kids, like you don't understand like that emotion and stuff and like how important that is. And now that you are a father, I feel like you understand that feeling of in the hospital and stuff. At the same time, I was in rough shape, so I didn't, really want too many people there anyway. But when you have ICP, there's a 60 to 90% chance. That was a burp or a cough?
That was a burp. But I muted it. You could have just let it go. Nobody needed to know.
There's probably no need for a cough button with me in here.
It's the Stoney Baloney podcast that coughing might actually be essential to it.
So there's a high chance of you having ICP in other pregnancies if you've already had it in one. The problem is, do I want to be diagnosed with it? No, that's scary. However, your levels can spike overnight really quickly, and it takes a week for your bile acid results to come back. So let's say I'm 38 weeks pregnant, my bile acids haven't spiked yet. What happens if they spiked and then we're in a situation where I have like a stillborn? So in a way, I kind of want to be diagnosed because the risk is so high and the chances are so high so that we can prepare for it and monitor versus the unknown and the what ifs and then a possible like not great situation.
Hope for the best and prepare for the worst.
So I'm due November 2nd. I feel like it's going to be Dude, I don't want it to be a September baby. That's way too soon. But fucking something's been telling me September and I hope I'm wrong. We know I have intuitions. I told everybody I wasn't having Harry in August and I had him a month early. So I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I've always wanted like an October anniversary or something like that. So October baby.
Your wedding was when?
September.
October?
September.
Last week of September?
First week of September.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But it was still kind of cold. My fucking wedding.
What a great time. I just did a job down in Italy, which is past Naples, and I had to drive the whole bank, and I was thinking about it the whole time.
That was a good day.
It was a great day.
We did.
I was very honored to be a part of it.
First off, my parents are psycho and OCD, and they wouldn't let us use their boat, so we had to rent a boat. And
on the bright side, at least they don't have to remind you for the rest of your life that they allowed you to get married on their boat.
Correct.
Because they would. She would. Sorry, Jen. Oh, wait, no names. Whatever. Sorry, Jen.
I mean, we could do names. I don't give a shit. So we got married on a boat, and then we had like this festival at our friend Peter's house, or was it at the restaurant?
It was at his house.
It was at his house.
I wasn't there, but I know it was at his
He
house.
wasn't there. Jane literally knows every part of my life. We have smoked on the 50-yard line.
Yeah. Dazed and confused style.
We've broken into the school after high school.
More than once.
Stole things off the principal's desk.
No comment.
So as I say, Dre and I were the black sheeps. We also, I think both of our parents growing up thought that we were trouble.
Yeah.
Andre and I kind of are trouble, but we're like innocent trouble. We're like fun trouble. Speaking of the bus.
Test the limits trouble.
We weren't bullies. Would you say we were bullies?
Then, no. By today's standard, absolutely.
So there was a point of time towards the end of our high school career of us still taking the bus that we took attendance on the bus. This is where that borderline bully might come in. And all of the kids on the bus had assigned nicknames that we assigned to them. Skeletor, Shrubs.
Male Skeletor.
But everyone participated.
Most of them were excited to take attendance. It was
Yes.
like kind of weird, actually, in a cool way.
I feel like Shrubs was against it. Like, he wouldn't raise his hand in attendance for a little bit, and then he had no choice. He gave into it. He liked it.
I like to think that it was more because he was shy and younger and maybe a little socially awkward and just couldn't come out of that shell. And he realized we weren't trying to torment him. We were just having fun, and he started to enjoy it as it progressed.
Dre, as I said, has seen me get in many fights. I wouldn't say I'm a brawler.
I wouldn't. You're always ready. You hit to hurt. You don't hold back. You can take shots. Even if you lose a fight, whoever you've gotten in a fight with doesn't want to get in a fight with you again.
So there's only 2 fights I have lost. And I will say those are because I got jumped.
Does that even count?
No, I don't think it does.
You didn't roll over and just take it.
And even after I got jumped and was knocked out and had 2 people sitting on top of me, I still got up and tried to go get mine after.
Mm-hmm.
So, in all fairness, I feel I've never lost a fight. I'm not proud of fighting. However, I feel like because of my size, people have always thought they could fuck with me. And there's some people that have kind of entered the chat in our life, like right now, and especially being pregnant, I don't fuck around. But they are already like, you know, I don't even hang out with these people. I don't even talk to these people. And they're like, I've heard that they're like starting things. I'm like, do these people know who I am? I've been here for fucking 36 years and it's not, I don't get calmer. My tolerance level is low. But most of the fights I've been in have been because I was hit first. And then it's like that reaction. And I stand up for myself. And people don't expect me to stand up for myself. And I think it's because of my size. But people don't understand the things that I have been through in my life. Why do you got to burp?
I had a Jack Link's beef stick on my way here.
It's disgusting. For breakfast?
Somebody in the trades, they live at the gas station. I had to get something on the fly.
So to speak of some of my infamous fighting moments, there's been some times where it was me against like 3 people in a parking lot and Dre's in the middle getting punched.
Yeah. I got a concussion from Heather or the other participant one time, but she was literally on her back like a dying bug, kicking her legs up over and over and over again. Hit me in the throat, hit me in the chin, hit me in the nose, all over the place.
So Dre's seen it all. What is your favorite?
And you hit to hurt, I can tell you that.
Which I can only imagine what it would be like if I don't plan on getting in a physical fight anytime. I don't like physical fighting, by the way. I've been in abusive relationships. Not all of those have been romantic relationships, per se. And I think that's another thing that people don't understand is that I do not put up with shit and no one's going to put their fucking hands on me. But what was your favorite fight? Obviously no names.
No names. Oh, man.
Now it's no names.
Okay, we were at a house where we belonged, and that person was just a visitor. We had been with them the night before. A person that you have a longer history with than me, actually. And she was getting a little out of line, a little too comfortable. And you had to sock her one.
She grabbed my face.
She grabbed your face, correct?
We were drunk, and I didn't think the conversation was going to go anywhere with the state that we were both in. And I was trying to leave the house that I belonged in
Yes.
to avoid whatever. We'll deal with it the next day, which I was not wrong in any of the situation and what I was upset about.
Not at all. She crossed some lines for sure.
So as I'm trying to leave, she grabbed my face and pulled it towards her so that I would listen to her. And then I busted out the right hook. And this is before I even took kickboxing. So,
Well, she should have already known because of her history with you that goes all the way back to elementary school, I would assume, because you guys lived close to each other. She might have been older, maybe middle school. I don't know.
no, we didn't move to that house until later.
Right.
97, actually.
That's still elementary school, right? 4th grade, probably.
97?
3rd grade, 4th grade.
No shit. Wow, we've been in that house for that long.
We met in 6th grade, which was February of 2000. So 97, yes, 3rd grade.
So Andre and I have lived together a few times. One of those times is when I came back from Miami. I was in a situation and I was young, and that's where I went to school, and I didn't know, you could just break up with somebody. But I also feel like I was really homesick. I was 3,000 miles away from home. And the mistake that I made going into college, even though I really wanted to go to that college, was I was, and this is okay. And just because you don't get along with your parents doesn't mean they're bad people. Some people just don't get along. My parents and I, we get along outside of the house. But I have to take in small doses. And living there is just not something that works out for me. And that's fucking okay. But I moved back into my parents' house after Miami for, I think I lasted about 3 months. And there was one night in particular that I got in a fight with one of my parents. And Andre's phone was going to die. He lived 35 minutes away.
Yeah, I was living out in Hamlin, basically.
I don't even know if did I ask you to pick me up? Did I get that far?
You told me what was going on, and I had a feeling. So I decided, I like driving anyway. I decided maybe I should be closer just in case. And I'm glad that I did.
So this kid just shows up like he just knew. At this point, I'm running down the cornfield barefoot. Prickers, dark, scary. And he knew to pick me up at the diner down the street. So I ran through the cornfield in the middle of nowhere. And this kid just...
Barefoot.
I fucking had splinters in my feet for weeks. That was terrible.
Well, that just goes to show how badly you wanted to get out of that situation.
Yes.
And that you will do whatever you need to do to be out of a situation if you have to.
Correct. And then I moved into your mom's house. And we were brother and sister for 9 months?
Yeah. I moved back into my mom's house because I wasn't even living with my mom. It was kind of like a package deal.
Dre and I are
And
definitely...
We were working together on the same shift at that time, too.
We worked together. We went to school together.
Yep.
I remember I always
We shared a bong that we call Nasty Marasty that we bought in Niagara Falls, Canada.
That broke. Oh, no, wait. Nasty Marasty was in the fire.
Nasty Marasty was in the fire.
Our friend's house sadly caught on fire.
Yep.
And Nasty Marasty was in there.
An old friend who never returns things when he's supposed to.
You know what's funny is there was a point of time where I kind of projected the future. It's like I wanted to have a podcast before podcasting was really big because I had my voice recorder, remember?
Yep.
So we used to go on these blunt drives. We would meet at Churchville Green and park our cars at 11 o'clock at night.
11 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, midnight, every hour of the day.
But for a while, I worked at Roarbox late, and I didn't want to go to my parents' house right away because I was living at my parents'. This was after high school. So we would do these blunt runs. And I wish I had this recorded because it was the funniest conversation ever. But he was not happy that I recorded that whole 6 hours of us driving around smoking a blunt.
Who's he?
Nasty Marasty Bong guy. Whose house caught on fire?
Oh.
Remember how mad he was?
Yes.
He was pissed.
That's because he says a lot of things that he doesn't want other people to hear. And that hasn't changed.
I'm kind of backtracking for a minute, but since we're talking about like blunt runs, I just want to say somebody that I don't even know made a comment about me smoking weed during my pregnancy.
You're very brave for talking about that openly because you do open yourself to a lot of judgment and being willing to face that and stare it down. Very brave of you.
Dude, what the fuck was our parents doing in the 80s? Quaaludes when they were pregnant? Maybe not maybe that was like the 70s.
Well, I can tell you what I think my mother was doing when she was pregnant. I guess I won't say it out loud, but to this day I can't stand still, so
there's a
use
lot
your
of
imagination.
Even in the 90s, people are thinking our moms, well, I don't know my mom, but probably they were smoking cigarettes when they were pregnant. Like they were doing all this shit. You look how car seats used to be and whatever, and now everything is just like so blah, 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 like everything's so fucking dangerous. Cannabis is not a drug to people. And people that don't smoke don't understand that. And people and doctors, I tell every single doctor that I'm Stoney Baloney. I tell every doctor I struggle with anxiety and whatever, and they're like, do you want to go back on medicine? I'm like, no, why would I want to go back on it? I've been off that shit for years. I said I'd rather smoke weed. However, I don't know if ICP, if the liver and whatever, I don't know if that affects the baby, and that's kind of also why I've kind of not whatever, but weed has not been legal. It's not federally legal long enough for people to actually do the fucking research on this shit. And guess what? It's going to be federally legal, and doctors and pharmacies and shit are going to start fucking using it. So if people want to use cannabis in their pregnancy because it helps with morning sickness or whatever, mind your fucking business, bitch.
Exactly. I guess that's the thing, what works for one person doesn't work for somebody else. And just because it works for you doesn't mean you should judge somebody else for doing something differently.
I would never force anybody to be like, you better smoke weed when you're pregnant or something. Like, and obviously...
It's not even coming from a place of selfishness, I don't think. I think you've taken the time to get informed, to talk to doctors. You're open about it with the doctors. You've read articles. You've talked to people who have done it while they're pregnant and haven't had any problems. And you're not just flying blind and doing it because you want to do it. You've decided that it's safe. You always make the best decision for your own body and for your son, Harry, now, and for the child that's on the way.
Which, by the way, became a bigger pothead after I became a mom.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. There was a time I couldn't even get you to smoke a joint with me. Now it's the other way around.
So you know how I struggle smoking blunts and joints now?
I'm glad we don't smoke blunts anymore.
I wonder with an inhaler if I can smoke them now, because it's usually I can't fucking handle it.
It's kind of ironic that you couldn't really run in high school and we had the sports asthma joke, and now all you do is run. You're always on the go. You got 9 different things going on all the time. Mother, business owner, spray tan, podcast. Things I can't even think of that I know are in there. You're doing all kinds of stuff, running all the time, and now you really have asthma. Ha.
Well, the doctor said...
Not ha-ha, but ha.
The doctor said I've probably had it since high school if I've had a problem always. Like, even when I'm kickboxing is very cardio. You're using your whole fucking body. But I've always struggled after, like, running or doing something. Even when I'm smoking, sometimes I fucking have, like, attacks. So I feel like I've always kind of, like, known, but hopefully this helps me. I'm, like, in the rage stage of my pregnancy. And
thanks for having me on.
I feel like people have been testing me this one. Like, the first pregnancy, people, like, walk on eggshells and you're, like, a saint. And this one, everyone wants to fucking judge you. And everyone's pissing me off. And one thing I've experienced in this pregnancy that I couldn't even believe that I've experienced was multiple people judging me by my name choices.
Oh.
Do you know that I've even had people where I told them that I wanted the name Gabriel, and they said, well, so-and-so's whatever is this name. And so I'll never not think of this person. Who the fuck says that?
Well, I mean, it's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the name, because your whole life, that's the person you identify it with. But once that baby comes, you won't be able to see it as anything other than Gabriel.
I just don't understand how people think they have the nerve to, like, I'm not fucking talking shit about the names that you're fucking picking for your fucking kids. Like,
well, we all do it, but we do it in private to be so direct and blunt about it, and actually come to your front door and tell you that they don't like your name choice is kind of over the top and out of line, no matter who it's coming from, whether it's an old friend, a stranger, an in-law, anything.
if you know me, you know that if you tell me you don't like something, I'm going to fucking run with it. Because I don't give a fuck what your opinion is. Your opinion does not matter to me. But also, I am carrying this baby. My body is the one that's changing. And you don't have a fucking say. The only person that has a say is Kenny. And Kenny doesn't have a say. Kenny liked a name that I didn't really like, but I still kind of like put it on the list. But there was something, Gabriel's never been on my list. And some people ask if it's a church reference, and absolutely not, because I'm going to tell you what I think about the fucking church. But people ask if it's a church reference, and I wanted to keep the classic rock tradition going. Harry's named after George Harrison. He's also got my grandpa's middle name. And because my kids don't have my last name, Kenny has like agreed and openly like I can name someone after like someone in my family. But at the same time, it's fucking 2024. We don't have to keep naming people after people in the fucking family.
Right.
I chose that I want to, not for my main names, but I wanted to keep the classic rock name going. And I was just going, I wanted Bowie. I really loved Bowie, but Kenny said he was like sexually abusing people and shit. And I was like, but it's fucking crazy because like Steven Tyler and all those people were like, all their groupies were young as fuck.
Yep.
And it's just so weird how times have changed. And you look back at even in the 90s, I was just watching a Brooke Shields documentary and how people sexualized young women in movies and stuff like that, and how okay things were and how different it is. Like, I'm so glad a lot of things have changed.
And minors, too.
It's disgusting.
I'm sure you saw the Nickelodeon documentary that was all over about a month or two ago.
Which is how sad for us, because we grew up with that stuff and we like had no idea that that was the stuff going on. And now we can't even like watch it with our kids because we know that there's these ill intentions and jokes and stuff like put in there.
It's always been there. It's in the Disney movies. It's amazing the things you pick up on when you grow up that you never noticed before.
It's weird. So Kenny and I went and saw Peter Gabriel, who, if people don't know, he's in Genesis, the band. Or, well, he was for like a small stint of time. Mostly it was Phil David Collins, David Bowie. So Harry, or the new child, is Gabriel David, which I think is a mix of the band Genesis. But let's also emphasize Peter Gabriel on his own because he's fucking fantastic. I don't love all of his songs, but there's something about like those songs that just remind me of like my innocence as a child. And some people go to church for their awakenings. I go to music. I feel like music has more feeling. But like your sister just posted something the other day.
Oh boy.
Because it's Pride Month or it was Pride Month.
Talking about her church.
Yes. And they basically were saying, like, they've been posting all these pride signs.
Yeah.
The people going in her comments shitting. And this is what I have a problem with church and military for, is because, and listen, I'm no better if I say people who go to church, half of them are fucking pieces of shit. even though they are. But
many sinners in every flock, for sure.
There's sinners in every fucking flock. That is the best way to say it. However, it's just, these people go to church and shit, and it's like, first off, you are basing your life on a book that you obviously haven't fucking read. And
picking and choosing which things from the book you want to hold true, and then which ones you want to manipulate for yourself.
Misinterpreting, or whatever that word is.
We'll go with that, Stoney.
And it's like, so you go to church and you get on your fucking one knee, bitch, but you want to sit here and be a boomer, racist, piece of shit, homophobic motherfucker. Like, oh, that rosary, shove it up your fucking ass. Because I just hate when people use the church shit, that they are just great people. Some people, they need to find peace, like meditation. That's where I'm okay with church. Like, people need a place to, like, go and whatever. But
many roads lead to the same place, and everyone's path is different. And whatever it is that you rely on to heal you or give you answers and help you find your way along the way, then, God bless you.
My mom would be calling me in the middle of my podcast with you right now.
She probably had a sixth sense that I was talking about her. Back to the pregnancy thing. I don't know what she did while she was pregnant. There's one thing I know for sure that she did. She ate a lot of blocks of cheese and a lot of steak.
Two of my favorites. I've been eating a lot of steak in this pregnancy.
We used to skip school just so Heather could eat cheese and steak.
Cheese and Italian dressing with a Coke.
Always with the Coke.
Which is funny because when I stopped drinking Coke for a while because I had an addiction, and then I got COVID and Coke tastes weird, and to this day Coke still tastes weird to me. But when I got pregnant, cherry Coke tastes okay, so now I'm on a cherry Coke bender. But
no Pepsi though, still, right?
Cherry Pepsi's okay, but it's the cherry. Like, I don't know what it is with COVID that changed the taste of regular pop. But
my wife has an aunt, Mary Jane. She's like 83 now. She's like 4'10", total spitfire. And her secret is she drinks 6 to 9 cans of Coke a day. Not Coke Zero, not Diet Coke. Straight up OG Coke.
That's sick. Probably because it fucking...
And she's,
decreases the toxins.
Whatever it does, it works for her. But if she doesn't have her Coke, watch out.
I also have a hard time going back to the church military thing, which I know is a scary topic. But when it comes to what holidays, like not Veterans Day, because that's people who like fought in war and whatever.
That's for all of them, alive or dead. Memorial Day is specifically for those that have passed and given their life.
When it comes to like military discounts and, a past soldier walks by, let's bow our heads to them and whatever. I had a very bad military experience. I was not in the military, but I was a significant other to someone in the military. And the minute I went out there, those fucking military wives, they fucking ate me up. There were women that have seen a lot of fucking shit and see me go through a lot of shit. And they, I thought they would be friends with me for life. But the minute I left California, they acted like I didn't even fucking exist after that, which was really fucking sad because they saw some of my hardest times that you have seen. And I just had a bad experience. I've had staff sergeants that inappropriately tried massaging me behind my spouse's back.
Right.
And
because they outranked your husband and they felt entitled. And that's the kind of thing that you want to get rid of.
I was cheated on. I experienced being treated in a way that I didn't, and there was a lot of drinking going on. I'm not a drinker. I could fucking drink. My last night in Miami, I had like 20 fucking Jaeger bombs. It was bad.
You were a tank. And then you turned 21 and stopped being a drinker. You were a tank.
I shoved in a lot in a very small period of time. But I was a drinker in that period of time because I was not happy and I was in an insecure relationship and I was going through a hard time emotionally for me. And someone said to me recently, like a couple years ago, like, well, you're just as crazy as they were. Like those people still blame me for things that happen. I'm not perfect. I did a lot of shit, but I did a lot of shit because I was trying to fucking survive in that time of unhappiness. And I don't regret anything because I would not be the person I am today if that shit didn't happen. Like, I would not find a person like Kenny if I didn't experience all that shit.
He is amazing. Great job.
Thanks.
Great job.
But I
love that boy.
Went through so much bad things. Like, I even was physically abused in front of other military people and they just did nothing and they sat there, and I have a bad experience with military, and I have a hard time on military holidays where these people get all this praise because I just seen so much bad shit. And I don't think just because you go out and fight for your country means that you can treat people in your life like pieces of fucking shit. And I think the military needs to do a better job at weeding out mentally, like, damaged people. Like, stop sending these angry people in here who fucking have the, opportunity to be even more fucked up. And then you put them in the real world, and then what? You put them in positions as fucking police officers with fucking fancy badges, and then they can do even more harm to even more people and rank up even more. Like, so I just fucking, this pregnancy has just pissed me off.
I understand. Now, at its core, it's a very selfless thing to do. It takes a special kind of person to sign up for something like that and go over to wherever they got to go, or just the day-to-day and the commitment and all that stuff and the chain of command and all that stuff. And we appreciate that, the general concept of it. Something that I can't understand. Both my parents were in. I almost joined, but didn't. But that isn't a free pass. It's not a get out of jail free card, especially to treat your significant other who is going through the same things that you are. Doesn't see you for months, has to deal with your crazy schedule. It doesn't give you an excuse to treat your significant other or your children or your family or your fellow military people,
or your friends,
like dog shit.
Like, I've seen you get treated like shit and shit on because you, like, told that you were fucking nothing. And I gotta tell you, this kid, like, people can think what they want about us and whatever, and big deal. We've had trials and tribulations. We fucking, in our 20s when we're fucking growing up and trying to figure out our fucking life? Who the fuck isn't? But you and I are genuinely really good fucking people. And, like, that's why we are good people, because we know right from wrong. Like, we know the difference and we see both sides of things. You and I have always seen three sides, and we use all of those sides to make wise decisions and have wise opinions on things and shit. And it's funny because there's a lot of people in our life around us who are pieces of shit. And, we've done very well.
I agree. I think more so you than me. I'm trying to get better every day, but so are you. But we don't stay in the same place. We're not stagnant. We're always trying to grow. We're trying to improve. We're always willing to take perspective from other people that we may not have understood in the first place. Try new things. Like, I'm trying a new thing right now because I'm still so out of my element sitting in this room, but I'm so happy to be here, and this is awesome. You just got to keep growing. You never stop growing. The second you stop growing and get comfortable with what you are, then what more is there for life to offer you if you're not seeking those new experiences and new connections?
I feel like the thing I struggle, and I've always struggled with, is money. And it's not that I'm not working my ass off and stuff. Like, maybe if I was just investing in shade, I would have money. Or maybe if I, did this for so long and whenever I would have money, like, I'm still behind in my car right now. Like, I'm fucking trying my best. I still have people on my ass because I'm 2 weeks late on a bill. And it's like, dude, I have a fucking kid. And I've also, you know, we've been paying rent at 3 different fucking places the last few months, and I lost my fucking job. And maybe I shouldn't have fucking picked up a deli. But, like, I also know that that deli is going to make us pop off once we get it going.
Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you. We actually did some soft openings.
You did. I ordered in advance and never picked it up, but
didn't show up, just like he didn't show up for the podcast a few weeks ago like he was supposed to.
I'm going to go ahead and deny that.
What do you mean deny that? I talked about it with you that morning.
I don't know nothing about that. The studio wasn't even ended up not being available that day. I didn't do anything.
I was in this parking lot and I fucking called this motherfucker and he said, "What day's the podcast?" Even after we talked about it that morning, and he was in Naples or whatever, so he was nowhere close to even get here on time. And I hung up on him and I called him back and I said, "I'm pregnant and I'm pissed and you're going to fucking listen to me anyway." And you were like, "Okay."
And then we pretty much did the podcast on the phone.
We did for an hour.
Yep.
And I feel like we've only like scratched the surface of any of that.
Although this is going a lot better than that because about 25 minutes of that was definitely me getting my ass chewed.
Yes.
For something I did not do. I didn't do. All right. I did it. I'm sorry. I'm glad we're here now.
There's one thing I did want to talk about today because you and your wife do not share your child on Facebook.
No, we don't.
Has she ever been on Facebook?
She has been posted by a few other people who either didn't know or may have just
not cared,
presumed that they could just do it anyway. And Jess asked them all to take them down, and they did. And I don't judge people that post their children on Facebook or anything. It's just a private thing. Like, if you know, you know. Like, everybody in our life has found out that she was pregnant. Everybody found out she was born. Everybody's met her. It's like an old school thing.
Like, everyone that needs to be in her life is in her life. It doesn't matter about Facebook.
People come over. We take her to see people. People call. We text. We send pictures to people. Like, everybody that we actually really, really want to see it and see her and be a part of her life has made an effort, or we've made our effort to include them in their life, and that's where we draw the line.
I feel like that's something I'm struggling with right now because there's people in our life that share my child on Facebook when they don't call, they don't check in, they act like they are so present in my child's life. Jesus, fucking button doesn't work, Scott.
That burp did not go in the mic. That was just a loud one.
It echoed.
Excuse me.
It didn't really bother me before, and honestly, I hate Facebook. There was actually a few years where I didn't even have Facebook, but I have a business, I have a podcast where I'm very open about my life on, and I'm so proud of Harry, and he's just the cutest fucking kid. Like, I know everyone thinks their kids are cute, but Harry looks different. He looks like a 90s heartthrob. Like, he just stands out in a crowd.
That age projection thing you did with him of what he's going to look like when he's 18, yeah. You're going to have to get a new lock on your door to keep the honeys away.
I hope Gabriel's is cute, because he's just so dapper. But, sorry, Gabe. But, I struggle because people reshare him like they're part of his lives, and they make no effort. And, you know, my parents and I, we may not have gotten along great when I was growing up, but they show up for Harry. If they don't see him after a few days, or they don't hear from us after 24 hours, my mom's FaceTiming, like, they are present in his life. There's not a lot of pictures of my parents with him because they're doing things with him. They're taking care of him.
And that's what's really important.
It is. And, you know, that says a lot for me to chalk up Jen and whatever. And I appreciate it. And honestly, they're the only people we have close to us that at the drop of a hat, I could be like, hey, we got tickets to Stevie Nicks tonight? Or I've got a catering order I forgot about. Can you take Harry? And they'll always take Harry. But it's starting to upset me more, I think, now as I'm getting older and I am realizing and looking back at my childhood. And as I said, we're black sheeps. And I noticed a difference, like with certain people in my family growing up. I was never the favorite. And even to this day, I always hear like, oh, poor this person, like they went through so much. I will tell you, I don't care what has happened to someone medically or whatever. They've had great lives. I got fucked. I was very depressed and upset, but I took what I went through. Like I went through shit that I will not tell people about in my lifetime. And that's stuff that still fucks with me every fucking day of my life. But I have taken those situations and I have made something of myself, and I have made sure to have a voice so that other people don't go through that shit, or don't, when they are in these situations, they're not stuck in them as long as I was stuck in them. And it just gets harder because I see the favoritism that I experienced, and that's the last thing I want my kids to experience. And if I think there's any kind of favoritism or, you know, there's a joke, like people joke about someone in my family that in their family, there was a favorite child. And to me, that's not okay. And a couple weeks ago, people were talking about how his parents like always focused on like the one kid. And all the siblings know, all the family members know. And I'm like, that's not fucking okay.
Yeah, and he may laugh, she may laugh, whoever's being joked about may laugh, but usually laughter like that is just to cover up the actual hurt that they don't want to show.
And we go through this shit and we get treated this way. And like I said, there's two kinds of people. There's people who use it as an excuse to be a piece of shit too. And there's people that use it as what not to do and to be better people and to treat their children and people in their lives better. So I just have been super protective, and I'm having trouble with the Facebook shit because I just don't use my child to look like your whatever of the year.
Well, yeah, it's projection.
When you make no effort to know who my child is, and when you're around my child, you seem irritated around him because you can't handle being around children. And also, it's quite obvious who your favorites in the family are and stuff. So, like, don't act like you really give that much of a fuck about being blood. Does not make you family, in my opinion. And I think as, like, we were raised, that weird aunt, that uncle, that grandpa, that fucking mom, we're raised to have to be around these people. And if people make you uncomfortable or upset, it doesn't matter if they're family, you should not have to be around them. And you being in my life has been one of the biggest lessons of family is not blood. Like, you are my brother. Your sister, her daughter's middle name is named after me.
Isn't that great?
And
she's pregnant and due right around the same time as Heather.
A week away from me.
And the new child's a boy, and the middle name is my middle name. Isn't that great?
But we are family.
Yeah.
Not many people have met your dad.
Always.
We know, like, everything that goes on and have been in, like, the most...
I didn't think Glenn was going to make it on the show today.
Of course Glenn's going to make it on the show.
No, not a lot of people have met my dad because he lived in Colorado, 2,000 miles away. But when he did come here, Heather was one of the people that made a huge effort to meet him and I think he likes Heather more than he likes me.
Even though he talked a lot of shit to me.
That's just a sign that he likes you.
But I feel like that's common. I feel parents, relatives, everyone in our life has been jealous of our connection and friendship. Like, your grandma fucking loved me but hated me, like gave me the hardest time for so many years. I feel like she accepted me once I had Kenny in my life.
Well, that just goes back to we were the black sheep and we were trouble. And, you know, she had that whole, not my baby boy, not my Andre. Oh, no, it must be her and the other one getting him into trouble. And if it wasn't for them, he wouldn't get into trouble. But she didn't realize that I was probably more likely to be the one starting it and pushing us into trouble than any of the rest of you.
But also, I was the one yelling at you to stay away from those fucking people and push you away from that trouble.
Good job.
Thanks.
Thank you for that.
On our last day of high school, was that the last day when we stole the microphone? Because I'm literally just having like a flashback.
We were making announcements and they tried to hide the microphone from us. And then when we couldn't find it to keep making announcements, we just stole the damn thing.
We were always in the office. That was like our spot. Like, there's one time remember when we got drunk and went to Taco Bell?
The wet tacos?
Maybe I was the only one that was drunk.
Somebody must have been sober.
Remember when you guys had to carry me out and Mr. Casey was just like...
Yep.
Our school security guard, who's like the most notable man in the world, rest in peace. I was...
Great soul.
I think I was pouring Bacardi Raz in water bottles. And you guys like carried me out. And he knew. He knew I was drunk and he was like, good day, guys. Get home safe.
Yeah. Well, the people in the office, as much as we were there, they did love us. It wasn't, oh my God, these bad kids are down here again. It was more like, oh my God, these two goofy bastards.
Skipping class, just hanging out in the principal's office.
Yeah.
We did have a lot of teachers that were scared of us, though.
We did?
Miss...
10th grade social studies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She actually like runs something for the high school, and I reached out to do a sponsor thing for spray tans, and she never responded. I may have put in there, by the way.
She's probably the wrong one to reach out to, for sure.
I may have put in there, by the way, I still hang out with Andre.
Yeah.
Remember when we were driving down 490 and I was in the back of the truck? Bad. That was stupid.
Yeah.
That was really stupid. We went from what? Churchville to Greece?
Yeah, it was the Ridge Road exit, the one that curls all the way around and goes back towards the mall.
And I'm laying in the hubcap?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it's called?
No, the truck bed.
The truck bed.
I hope you weren't laying in the hubcap.
There was...
You wouldn't be here doing a podcast
There was no hubcap, was there?
I think there's a hubcap. Hubcaps are on the tires.
No. What's the thing that goes on top of it?
The truck bed with the tire bumps inside of the truck bed?
No, the cover on top of the truck.
Like a tonneau cover?
What the fuck is a tonneau?
It's the thing that covers a truck bed. I didn't have one of those.
It had to be a hubcap. It wasn't even your truck. It had to be my truck.
It was Scott's truck.
Oh, well...
Not podcast Scott. The other Scott.
That Scott? We had his truck?
Like Scotty, yeah. Red truck. I was working for him. Red truck.
You worked for that Scott?
My Scott?
Your Scott?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Scott I was talking about originally. Why would I think about the other Scott?
I'm talking about podcast Scott. The third Scott, I don't even think about him anymore. He's a devil, demon. Don't want to know him. Don't ever want to see him again.
Well, when I said Scott, you said that Scott or whatever, and that's when I got confused on the Scotts.
Sorry. I meant not podcast Scott.
Why would I think Scott podcast Scott?
Because that...
It's fucking 2006.
He is the familiar Scott to the podcast listeners.
Oh, you were telling people.
I just saw him. I think he's right out there somewhere right now.
You were telling people. I thought you were telling me.
Well, yeah. I mean, you have a platform now, so people are familiar with things. And if they hear Scott on the Stoney Baloney podcast, he's the first one they're going to think of, I would assume.
I guess you're right. Well, our time is coming to an end.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's been 60 minutes. I almost want to pay for an extra hour right now. But our time has come. And I feel like I didn't talk about half is what I wanted to, so maybe you can come back again.
That's good, because a lot of these things that we've been talking about and going through lately and all these changes and transformations in our life and all that stuff are still going to be relevant the next time we have a chance to do this.
Can our finale of Stoney Baloney be a part 2 and you come on next month too?
I would love to.
Yes.
It was a pleasure to be here.
All right. Well, you heard it for yourself.
And Bushnell's Basin is really nice this time of year.
So Andre's going to show up. Thank you.
Andre's going to show up.
Cool. Well, thank you for listening. I know it's been a while, and I'm excited for part 2.
As am I.
Peace out, Girl Scouts.
Hey.